Welcome back to another episode of Culture Chats. Today we'll be talking about communicating across cultures. Let's get into it. So what exactly does communicating across cultures actually entail? Well, firstly, understanding that there are many cultures around the world is a starting point, and that these global cultures all have differences, including how each of these cultures interpret, behave, and interact, as well as these, their words, their nonverbal cues, their stereotypes, and their gender differences. Taking all these differences in account allows you to actually successfully communicate across all cultures. There's an importance in knowing how to communicate across cultures, especially within the South African media industry. And the reason for this is that not only does it allow you to prevent misunderstandings, but it allows you to communicate in a less frustrating manner that can also create opportunities. Recently, actually, I was in a situation where I came into contact with people who are definitely not from the same background as me. It was at work. I'm a sound engineer, so I was freelancing at the Cannabis Expo in 2022, my apologies. And one of my panel speakers for one of the stages that I was managing was Khoisan. And I've never met a Khoisan person in my life, and like most history books, when you're taught it in school, they don't really tell you that we actually still have a population alive and very well. So that was my interaction. So how I saw the Khoisan people was that when the time came to have the speaker on stage, because they weren't scripted into my call sheet, their assistant approached me and asked me to load some presentations and some images. And I said, that's fine, but I asked because I wasn't sure if he was the speaker or not. I said, are you the speaker? And he said, no, it's not me. It's the gentleman over there. And he pointed to three people dressed in full Khoisan loincloth. So from there, I sort of was a little bit taken aback, and I sort of wanted to mention that at some point I'd have to mic him with a lapel before he got on stage to make or do the presentation. And his assistant said that was fine, but he would have to talk to him first. Once the assistant sort of got the okay to be mic'd from him, he came back to me and told me the information, and I said that when the time came, I would mic him, and he was like, that's fine. However, I presumed that, like all my clients, I could sort of approach them, which is a horrible assumption, and sort of say my name, ask for their consent to touch them so I could put the mic on. However, with this time around, I sort of approached him, and his assistant stopped me immediately and said, no, I'll talk to him. So I recognized a sort of hierarchical structure immediately, and I backed off. And I think from there, that's when I just took a back seat and sort of dropped what I thought I knew I was encountering rather than experiencing and learning from. So yeah, it was a little bit difficult after that because I had to relay everything through the assistant instead of directly to him. But I think at the end of it, we definitely communicated successfully because his presentation was a hit and the sound was good, the assistant was happy. Him himself, as the Khoisan speaker, was happy with it as well. He actually spoke to me at the end and said thank you. So that was actually a huge thing for me, to be recognized by someone as not only as an historical figure, but someone as an historical figure in the modern era, living, changing the world currently. If you want to improve your cross-cultural communication, here are some guidelines. First, assume differences until a similarity is proven. To avoid any embarrassing misinterpretations, assume that your other cultural counterpart will not understand or interpret what you're saying from the beginning until a similarity is proven. Second, emphasize description rather than interpretation or evaluation. Emphasizing a description of an observation is far more successfully communicative than an interpretation of it. Third, empathize with the person from another culture. Try and view the world from their perspective. Fourth, treat your interpretations as guesses until you can confirm them. Check with others from another culture if you have doubts. And that's it for this week's episode of Culture Chats. See you next time.